welcome back to Brashonomics. When you start talking about preparation and being ready when that moment comes to you, knowing how to do something because you've studied whatever it is you're trying to accomplish it becomes so obvious in sports. It becomes so obvious when you hear somebody like Russell Wilson talk about it because there's a way that they go about practicing, they come to game time, they execute. Well, I think that there's also some similarities in the way that people can buy or sell houses because ultimately you can prepare and then you can execute. David Bell joins us, managing broker with the RE/MAX Metro East Side, and he has earned Seattle Magazine's 5-star Best in Client Satisfaction Award every year it's been offered. David, my friend, how are you? Happy New Year.
Ben, great to be back. How are you doing? And Happy New Year to you.
I'm great.
Did you have a good holiday?
I did.
Good.
We talked a little bit about it, but I'm the guy who's kind of glad the holidays are over. They start so early and then they end, and it's...
Yeah, I love the holidays.
Yeah.
I love the Christmas tree, the decorations. I took it all down on Saturday and Sunday, and I kind of felt like a little bit blue afterwards.
A little bit blue, huh?
A little blue, yeah.
Little Seahawk blue, baby.
Yeah, that was a great game, wasn't it? Oh, that first quarter, though, was a tough first quarter.
Yeah. Well, and even if you think about that, so the Seahawks, they go in, they have a really tough first quarter. Nothing seems to go their way. But they know they had prepared, and they knew they could game plan it and make a change. A lot of people, I think, probably buying houses, went through the last maybe 4 months or 6 months, and, we had the buyer burnout we had talked about. We had literally not enough inventory. Things weren't really going their way. A lot of home buyers' way. Multiple offer situations, not even being able to find a house that would fit their needs. If we were to equate us kind of going into the second quarter now, assuming more inventory is going to come on the market here in the next couple months, what would you say to a buyer who has been active in the market, but now is going to, I guess, reactivate now that the holidays are over?
Probably the biggest word I would use is patience, and that's what the Seahawks did. They were patient. Russell Wilson was very patient. He didn't panic. He didn't try to do things that he wasn't prepared to do. And I think there's a lot of similarities with that. Or you can draw a great analogy to buying a house, to buying real estate. One of the things that I find so important that I do is that I really sit down and I really make sure that we spend the amount of time appropriate, and sometimes it's a couple hours, and sometimes it's a couple weeks in really getting my client, the buyer, really prepared for what they're going to start doing. So when you hit an obstacle or you hit something that's unusual, you're not freaked out about it and you don't panic. That was really important back before 2007 when we had multiple offers and bidding wars on everything. Today we're still having bidding wars on houses, but the bids aren't going up very much. Before on a $500,000 house with 6 offers, it would sell for $600,000. Today it might sell for $510,000 or $515,000. In fact, I just had a couple situations like that. So there's not that kind of urgency in buyers, or I shouldn't say urgency, kind of insanity that buyers were going through back in 2005, 2006. But you've got to be prepared. You've got to be patient. And you got to take your time, and you got to get the advice of a really good real estate agent. I think when you buy, it's the best deal out there. You're not paying for what I'm doing. That's getting paid by the seller, and it can save you tens of thousands of dollars. Do
you you brought up the word patience and not panicking. When you have somebody in your corner that does this, over and over, and you're in the real estate industry all the time. You don't go to work and then come back into real estate. It seems that if you wanted to be the most prepared you can and find the right house, you really do have to be active, but knowing that you can't be active 100% of your time because you probably, as a customer, you probably have your own job, probably have your own kids, finding somebody who can be your advocate and be very active to help you prepare,
it's critical. It's critical. But what do most people do?
Most people go online.
Most people go online. They ask their friend. They have somebody at their church that's a real estate agent. And I heard a statistic at one point, and I don't know how accurate it is, but it seems to be pretty accurate, just from a gut level, is that people end up working with the first real estate agent they meet. And my goodness, that is really not a great way of possibly having your largest financial decision in your entire life or your biggest purchase ever. Is just meeting with somebody and you like them or they're cute or they belong to your church or what have you. What I do is I spend a lot of time not with clients, but just on the market, understanding the numbers. I run the numbers every month. I know what the sales trends are. And I do that because it's an advantage to my client. It's a huge advantage to my client because they do have a job. Most of them do have a job, and they're working.
If they're getting financing,
right.
I promise you they have a job.
Not necessarily, but in most cases. And they don't have the time nor the expertise to really analyze the market and to understand what's going on with the market. The market changes. The market changes rapidly. And when you wait for the local media to report on that, it's generally a couple months behind. And so work with somebody that really understands the market, that does a lot of research, that understands the numbers, understands the trends, and have been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, you talk about where people get their news, and we're going to talk with Aubrey Cohen here in a little bit, but he has a new article that was written in January, but it actually talks about December's sales numbers. Mm-hmm. So by the time information is disseminated through, like, say, a local paper, typically, most charts are going to be the month before. And so to really keep your finger on the pulse, you have to be actively watching, not just looking at last month's and the previous month's numbers.
Where one of the biggest, I think, faults in this type of reporting lies is that they take general overall numbers. They take numbers for King County, and they take numbers for Pierce County or whatever the county that they're talking about. And what I think you need to do, and I think I can sit down and show you why, you need to take the numbers from each individual MLS area. We have it broken down by number. Like Area 140 is West Seattle, Area 700 is Queen Anne Magnolia, Area 390 is Capitol Hill in the Central District. You need to take a look at all those numbers individually because they're different. They're trends in different neighborhoods. In the last 6 months or so, there's been a lot of talk and a lot of feeling and a lot of people coming to me and saying, gee, the market's really hot. Is this a good time to sell? Because there's multiple offers on everything. And, well, yeah, it is a good time to sell if you're above water, and there's a lot of people that are above water when they sell. It's a better time to buy because of interest rates, and prices have come down since the high in 2007. But when you look at the actual number of sales, the number of sales is not going up. But the reporting on this leads people to assume that the number of sales in an area keep going up and up and up. And that's not the case. And prices have maybe gone up in the city in the last 6 months, maybe 2%, 2.5%. But the number of sales have actually decreased now for the last 2 years by month and by year. So that's interesting.
David Bell joins us, managing broker with RE/MAX Metro Eastside. We call him our resident RE/MAX Hall of Famer. David, so when you start looking at being able to understand these different pockets, these different neighborhoods, is that data that is easily found if you are not in the real estate industry?
I don't think so, because I don't go to non-real estate sources to find those numbers. So I just go onto the MLS and I'm able to search for history, the number of solds, the number of pendings, and that sort of thing by area and by date. And I do that on a regular basis because I want to know what the trends are. You kind of get a gut feeling of what the trends are, but you need to verify it and back it up by what the actual numbers are.
Another thing on the preparation side, though, is if you really know you want a certain neighborhood. Some people get into certain streets or schools or whatever. Mm-hmm. There's a way, I guess, another preparation technique to really know that area. You can walk around. You can prepare so much as to you know every single house that's on the block or in the area that you want, and then be able to understand that if something were to come on the market, you have a very good idea of what that house could be worth and what you'd be willing to pay for it.
Exactly. I think it's important for buyers, if you're not from the area, or you're looking at a new area that you think you want to live in, is to go spend time in that area. I always recommend my clients do that. Go out there on a Friday night and drive around. Go out on a Saturday and go on a Monday morning. If you leave for work at 7:30 and commute's an issue in your mind, get there at 7:30 in the morning with your car and commute to your job. Find out everything you possibly can find out about the area you want to move into, because you're going to spend $500,000 or more to live in the city. That's a lot of money.
No kidding. And if you haven't done some the preparation work of
Right.
driving and understanding,
Yeah.
all the different aspects of
Right.
living where you are as it relates to your life, then you might not be able to handle it as well
Right.
as you hoped.
And you have to be patient. You just have to wait until the right house becomes available. That could happen in a week. It could happen in 6 months.
David, and I guess that's the key is you have to, as you said from the very beginning, you got to be patient, don't panic, and you have to prepare. I guess those are the real estate tips from David Bell.
There we go for 2013. Yes, and go
Seahawks real estate tips, huh?
Go Seahawks and go Remax.
There you go. Thanks, David, for joining us. We do have to go to break. When we come back, Aubrey Cohen with Seattle PI will join us. We'll be right back after this break.